20 after 5 Central African time. Let's talk about redefining the gallery experience with a Zimbabwean-born, Cape Town-raised based artist Ronald Muchatuta, who's a visual artist. Ronald, thank you so much for joining us on the upside. Talk to us about your history with art. When did that paintbrush touch you?
Good day to you guys. Thank
Hi.
you for having me on your show. Um, it actually started a long time ago. It was actually in the 90s where I was exposed to what the ability of certain type of artists could do. But I think it was much more of a profound thing because I think the book that I saw first was of an artist who drew without a rubber. And from then I was quite actually intrigued by the fact that growing up we drew cartoons and stuff like that, but would use rubbers because a rubber would be considered to be something used to perfect a drawing. But here in this situation in this book that I had, the artist was actually explaining that the rubber hinders you from learning from your mistakes. So that's what I kind of learned from going forward, and that inspired me to try and figure out what the journey of an artist meant.
So, chat to us about your journey in particular, how it started, and the different types of art that you've kind of made through the years to get you to this particular point.
So I'm a different generational artist. I am in between um, the social media era or the internet era, and also another generation where invitations to exhibitions were administered via postcards. So the that era taught me certain things, and the social media taught me certain things. But then I think I was mentored actually in Zimbabwe in Harare at a gallery called Gallery Delta
Mm.
around 2002 to 2005, and we were taught the fundamentals like the how to express yourself as an artist rather than just the idea of replicating a painting or trying to make a pretty painting. We were taught in how to allude emotion, how to express your feelings, and how that can be relatable to the viewer.
You know, Ronald, there's a sense of a desire to make art an experience now. Because even when I remember the art experience that I attended last year, it was a sip and see. So we did like a champagne tasting while they were explaining the art. So at each art station, they had different types of champagne that would match the emotion of the art. And I thought that was fantastic, especially for someone who is not necessarily like loves art, appreciates it, but doesn't necessarily understand it. When you say redefining an experience, talk to us about what are the elements of it that you want to redefine and how.
Mm, well, I come from a different uh, background where I feel that art is not necessarily just a momental thing where you where you're experiencing a moment. It is one of those things, but then art is much more of how do we understand each other as human beings. And some of the things, especially for us in the continent of Africa, we get to be affected by the issues of um, maybe not growing up going to museums or going up to exhibitions and things like that. And we only appreciate art from a distance, but then when we grow older, we do not understand that sometimes there has to be a cultural element for us to be fully fledged to understand art in totality. And I think sometimes the moment, as you explained it, is necessary, but sometimes we limit that moment compared to a broader aspect of things because the appreciation of art cannot just be a champagne sip and drink here and there. The appreciation of art is actually cemented within the context of stories.
Mm.
So, Ronald, what I'm excited when it comes to your particular experience and exhibition is the fact that you're going to be incorporating African rhythms, electronic music, and improvisation. This sounds to me like it's a full on production. The National Arts Festival in Girl in Me is getting excited. Can you chat to us about what your particular experience is going to bring on the 2nd to the 31st of July?
So my experience is basically venturing into different sounds sonically within the context of the archive in terms of African music.
Mm.
Um, as you know, us as Africans, we thrive on um, uh, they term that they call the griot. A griot is a teacher within Western African tradition. So most of our songs are passed on from oral tradition. So it's songs that we sing as kids and the like at funerals, weddings, and things like that.
Mm.
And you'd realize that sometimes as us Africans, we do not really have our archive is within ourselves.
Mm.
So for me, I was very interested in wanting to amplify or to bring in a contemporary aspect of what the so-called archive of music or sound within Africa would sound like, but in a different form of production. So when I ventured into that, I just felt that the music was great, but then how do I incorporate it with existing mediums of art that I work with? So therefore, I found a hosting for the sound of the music, and then that hosting that I found a way to create QR codes that would then be synchronized with the mediums of sculpture, mosaic, and weaving, and creating a hybrid element of sculptural art that people could use the music as a soundtrack to the art with.
I think also allow yourself to change your bio from visual artist to multidisciplinary artist, because that sounds absolutely insane, man. Thank you so much for joining us. And also, is there anywhere we can find you on social media?
On Instagram, I'm at Muchatuta. LinkedIn is Ronald Muchatuta. Twitter, it's Muchatuta Ronald. Yeah, those are the platforms that I use.
Thank you so much for joining us on The Upside. We're looking forward to your experience and your exhibition in Cape Town between the 2nd of July and the 31st of July. It is The Upside on Channel Africa. Let's get into music.